Gerard Caruso. This is Rusk.
All right. So here's the deal. How many of you guys know Rusk? So one thing you can say is Rusk knows how to cut some hair. About the audio thing, that's another story. So we're really excited. I'm really excited to be back here in Florida. You know, it was about a year ago that I was out here. We were talking about what was going on in 2013. And now to come back and talk to you what's inspiring us in 2014, I think is really, really cool. What do you guys think of models? Are they awesome? Beautiful colors, awesome hair. I want to just share one thing with you guys. You know what? It's not about liking or wanting to wear something or knowing how to wear something. It's about learning how to approach it. And how do you tackle that? And what you possibly do to make what we do every day in our salons better. Is that right? Bottom line, you could love and like and want to do everything, but that don't pay the rent. Right? So what we want to do is we want to love what we do, we want to like what we do, but at the end of the day, we're going to share with you how to create more dollars and how to make more money. So what I want to do with any further ado is I want to bring out my co-partner over here. He's my partner in crime. We've been all over the country together. He's our show and education director. Let's give it up for Mr. Jim Roberts.
All right, guys, we're going to have some fun. Have you ever felt like you have no control whatsoever until you step behind the chair? You ready? I think that's a beautiful thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to share with you guys the inspirations of why Gerard and myself have been with this company for over 20 years. And I think that says a lot because he owns a salon, I own a salon. We wouldn't be here on this stage if we weren't inspired about what we do. Being able to do color like this, right? Color like this, haircuts like this. Is it something you can take back to the salon and use? At the end of the day, the music can be a flop, the video can be even worse, but it's about being able to go back to the salon and cut great hair, right? It's about being able to be inspired. So, you know, these guys over here, they're trying to put this together. Sorry about the technical difficulty, but I guarantee you one thing that we're going to have some confidence in is what we can do with our scissors and what our team has done backstage with the color. So we want to share that with you. We want you to have that confidence when you go back to the salon. And if you're not using Rusk Deep Shine Color, just ask yourself why. By the time you leave this class, we hope that we can inspire you to have more notion to try it. Because the number one thing is if you don't try it, you're never going to see the results. And if you don't see the results, you're going to see the limitations. So we're going to share some great hair cutting and more than anything, exciting and passion about what we do. So how's that sound?
All right. So let's give a round of applause to these models. Let's bring them up. We'll get right back a little bit later and talk about how we do these. Thank you, ladies. It's really important to share one thing with you, and it's the inspiration of what Rusk was all about in 2014 and where we were. You know what, we kind of in 2014 realized that we need to go back to our roots. And we need to go back to what Rusk was in order to determine where Rusk was going. And we did that by launching some new and exciting new products, which we're going to talk to you guys about. They were the foundation of Rusk. They were basically what we call the artistry, and allowing you guys to create that session work on a day-to-day basis. And we're going to talk a little bit about session work and to see how many of you guys are doing it or are doing it, don't even realize you're doing it. But Modern Iconic was also about a collection, and it was inspired for me by iconic hairdressers of the past. And we don't have to mention all their names. Of course, Irving Rusk was one of them. You know, you have Vidal Sassoon out there, you have Trevor Story, but these are inspired, iconic hairdressers of the past. And what they said to the industry really inspired me as a hairdresser. So it was basically paying tribute to them, to looking at them. But not only that, but to go back to different eras. You know, the 80s, punk days, you know, the 60s, the 70s, the 50s, the 40s, going back to all those eras and picking a little something. But most importantly, bringing it into a more modern world and what we would do on a day-to-day basis. And that was kind of inspired, and that's why we created techniques and looks like the modern crop, the modern punk, and the modern edge. Those were basically the three titles that we gave them. And the edge really went more for editorial work. And the modern punk really went back to the 80s and how people were wearing their hair a little bit more punky, a little bit wild. And the modern crop, you guys all know it, it was a little pixie. You know how it was cut back then and how it was created that then. So we're going to share a little bit about what the collection is. You guys want to see some haircuts, right? All right, let's cut the hair.
That's good. You know, it's so funny. I have a salon now in North Carolina. I just moved back there from Minneapolis. And it's great to be back in the salon. But I tell you, it's really interesting because just a couple weeks ago, a new salon opened in the city where I live. And I thought, I'm going to check this place out. So what did I do? I decided that day I needed a little haircut, right? So I go into the salon. I make an appointment. Well, I didn't make an appointment. I walked in. And I was very interested in what this new salon was going to be bringing. So when I sat down in the chair, they were like, well, you have some tattoos. What do you do? I'm like, well, I do graphic design. And I also do market research. I made my own business cards. I was doing market research while I was sitting in the chair. Now the funny thing is this was an amazing, beautiful salon, but it lacked talent. It lacked somebody meeting me, offering me a cup of coffee. It lacked somebody welcoming me to the salon. It lacked somebody trying to book my appointment when I left.
It looks like it lacked haircutting technique.
I tell you what it really lacks. One makes fun of what they do not understand. What it really lacked though, guys, they didn't try to sell me retail. I made the decision before I even walked in the door, if this person tries to sell me retail, I'm going to buy it. I don't care what they try to sell me, I'm going to buy it. Nobody tried to sell me anything. But the funny thing about it is such an amazing salon, and as an experienced hairstylist, I think there's so many times we're thinking about the haircut, thinking about how good we are, about how well we market ourselves, and we fail to look at the simple things that makes us and keeps us busy in the salon. So I went back to my salon and I told my staff, I'm like, if you guys don't recommend the product when they leave, I'm going to fire you. No, not like that, but it's so important to be able to give a full and complete service. And you know, the funny thing and where I'm getting at with this is it starts from the consultation. And how many times, and let's be honest, I've been doing this business for 24 years and I've worked really, really hard at it, just like all of you. How many times does a client sit down in the chair and we're like this? What are we going to do today? Now what kind of crappy consultation is that? Right? Have we ever said that? What are we going to do today? How about if she sits down in the chair and before you even ask that you say, oh my goodness, I've got a vision for your hair. I'm going to create this great short haircut. Love her or hate her, Miley Cyrus kicked us in the teeth with short hair again, right? Short hair is so hot. I got this great haircut. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to disconnect this cut it shorter underneath, and I want to keep this length in the front, but I think it would be great if we had a transition of shorter texture coming in together into the longer texture, and it's going to really work well and work seamlessly together because the way we're going to cut this with the texturizing blades. What do you think? Is that not better than what are we going to do today? Right? Do you think she wouldn't be excited about her appointment? Do you think she wouldn't tell a friend? That J. Roberts guy really does take care of me when I come into the salon by offering me something new. If she didn't like what I said, all she has to do is say, no, let's just trim it. But I gave her a professional recommendation and I presented myself as a professional stylist. And I think that's one real important thing if you want to make a professional income. You guys, can I get an amen?
Amen. Well, that was the southern approach. Let me tell you about the northern approach.
He's going to tase them in the neck and then cut their hair.
And the reason why you're all laughing is because half of you are from New York, so get over it. You know what? It's kind of funny because when you think about that, Jim, right, you know what? Every area that you go to has a different approach to what they do. And you know what? And I share this with everybody, and I even tell my staff this. Jim and I are no better hairdressers than any of you guys out there. You know, we have a kind of passion for what we believe in and what we do. We were saying at Rusk, knowledge equals confidence, confidence equals success. But in order to get that confidence, you have to know what you're talking about. You have to know what you're doing. You have to know what a lifting or rolling technique is going to do, or what a modern punk is going to do, or modern edge is going to do. You have to know how to scissor over comb. You have to decide, am I going to do it scissor over combing using a texturizing blade, or am I going to use a clipper? You know, and what is the difference? And what is it going to achieve? And why? And how am I going to do that? And those are all things that, you know, we share on a day-to-day basis, whether we're working in an event like this. You know, and I share this with everybody because here's the bottom line. You know, sometimes you'll catch something up on the screen and you'll see it, and sometimes you just don't. And then you go back to your salon and you try to do exactly what Gerard did up on stage, and you're like, that boy did not know what he's talking about, and then it don't work. Right? Because you missed it. It's an inspirational event. That's all I'm here to do. It's just got to inspire you, give you a little bit, hey, a little bit tidbit. You walk away with one thing and you kind of create and do it, then the job is half done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create something for our new collection. It's kind of inspired by the modern punk. Basically going to have a little bit of disconnection, a little bit of texture, a little bit of that punk feel, but not necessarily all sprouting and not necessarily all sticking up. It has to be a little bit more versatile. It has to be a little bit more demure if she wants to be a little bit more sophisticated, make it possibly look like a bob shade, but it has to be funky at night because she's going to go out and she's going to do what she wants to do. So by creating versatility, you know, you can control exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it. Now, my models have really fine hair, so I need to start to create a foundation at the bottom before I can even start to bulk it up in any way. So what I decided to do is kind of lift and roll this before I decide to take it real tight underneath, almost create a bevel, because that bevel is going to allow me to support what I do at the top. All right? So here's the truth too, and I tell everybody this. Everybody with fine hair, really fine hair, wants it long. They want long, beautiful hair. And the reality is, and we need to face reality, we can mimic it and try to do it, but if you have fine hair, you have no support. So we need to create it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take right from the recession area on one side, and I'm going to take that parting, and I'm going to start to bring it down right to the curvature of the head. I'm not looking at the occipital area, but I'm looking for head shape. And I want to follow the head shape, because if I follow head shape, no matter where the hair falls, it's going to do what I want it to do. So I'm going to take it round, but when I come back to the other side, I'm going to keep taking it so that the right side only has about a ½ inch, but the left side, there's going to be a good 2½ inches there that I'm going to remove off. So what I want to do is I want to start right in front of the ear, and I'm going to kind of lift and roll this with one finger because I want to get it really tight. I'm just going to take that straight up there, roll around, and remove this link. Everybody's gasping for air. If you're gasping for air, you know what I'm doing. Hope that air falls into place. Oh, but by doing that, you see how you already start to create the round? It makes sense, guys. Think about it. If you need to build something up, you need something to support it, right? It's like building a house. You first do the foundation, then you put the pillars, and then you put the 2x4s. Not that I'm a constructor or builds a house. You all go try that. But anyway, but you got to build from bottom up. Because this round here is going to support what I do up top here. So I'm going to take that. The only difference I'm going to do is because I want to maintain just a slight shape on the muscle of the neck, I'm going to bring this section right to the top of the ear. And I'm going to take it right to the top of the ear here so that when I remove this and I let that go, I'll have some softness that lays down below there. Because the bottom line is, softness will lay there. If I want to remove it later, I have the option. But if I take it off now, there is no option.
You said pillars and 2x4s. In North Carolina, we roll it into place and take the wheels off of. Pillars are something we lay our head on as we're trying to sleep. Big city doesn't get him anywhere, does it? No, we like to have fun, guys, but if you can't have fun at what you're doing, why?
Oh, I just got it.
Oh, yeah. Big city.
Ghetto, I got it.
Hey, you know what? It doesn't matter where you came from, right? It's where you're going. The great thing, I don't mean to block through, I'm going to stand back here a little bit. You know, it's the tools and the technique that create the talent. And those of you who are in Florida, we know that you're no stranger to Rusk. That's why all of you are in here. And we hope that we've affected your career throughout the time as well, just like it's affected ours. But it's the tools that we use that make a huge difference. So just to point out, those of you who have not seen swivel thumb technology, the ability to cut hair with your elbow down and your wrist straight. Those of you who remember when we were in cosmetology school, we were always taught to keep our elbow up to maintain a straight wrist formation. Well, nobody cuts hair like this, right? We start to drop our elbow, we start to cut hair with a bent wrist. Repetitive motions, thousands of times a day with a bent wrist in an unergonomically correct body position will create carpal tunnel syndrome. With swivel thumb technology, you can now swivel your wrist and cut hair here. It took me 5 years to realize that the chair pumped up, right? But once I started using the swivel thumb technology blade, it really made hair cutting easier. It made it so much more comfortable to cut around the ear. You didn't have a weak side or a strong side, which is something I had early on. But with the technology, it really makes it so much easier to really keep and maintain a comfortable body positioning. And I think when you're doing this 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and you want to do it for many, many years, who's been cutting hair more than 20 years? Right on. More than 25 years. That's awesome. How about more than 30 years? Fantastic. You guys give yourselves a round of applause, please. You guys like yourselves a lot, don't you? You clap louder for yourselves than you did for Gerard and I.
And they get to even more in you.
When you're removing weight, it's a great thing to have confidence and to have control. The 35 teeth on the Gamma blade allows you to close the blade and slide it freely from the hair without having to reopen. That's important when you're working with shapes like this, as well as working in the interior to create more volume. Now the blade that I was using on my lovely model was the Beta blade. 27 teeth of texture. It is the most aggressive blade. It takes out the most amount of hair, but is truly one of the most rewarding, with the ability to go in and close the blade and just slide it from the hair, removing the weight and creating texture all at the same time. So, you know, it doesn't matter how you achieve shorter shape, but the thing is you want to be able to achieve it consistently and efficiently, right? And the best body positioning. So what I'm going to do is just continue to go in here and take this out, just working shear of the comb, going lower to take out the weight. Now the funny thing, this lovely model that I have right here, modeled for us at the Orlando show earlier this year, she had long hair and I was able to convince her into shaving one little side. This is the first time I've seen her since. Now she's got a platinum blonde and she's shaved all over, right? So it's amazing how we sometimes will underestimate what our clients are willing to do. And I think there's a little devil inside of everybody wanting to try something new. But we have to recommend it. We have to give them the confidence that we can deliver the goods. And I think then it's going to open up a realm of so much more exciting haircutting, not only for your customers, but who we entertain all day? Ourselves, right? So I'm going to go finish with this Beta blade and keep cutting this underneath shorter.
I have to say, I entertain myself every day from this song. Because right beside me is a picture of Mr. Jim Roberts.
Oh.
That
Cheap comb.
I think it's right out of your hand.
I dropped everything but my pants today.
That ain't true. He did that earlier. That was not pretty.
Some of us would pick that up and set it over on the counter and say, well, let me go get a new comb. Oh, I found one. Yeah. There's a pocket sanitizer in there. That stuff, I swear in my salon, if I dropped that, I would go wash it. I promise you I would. If you don't clean your combs, you're definitely not going to clean anything else, right? So.
Well, I would hope to God they all have more than one comb.
What the hell?
You know, it's kind of funny. Y'all do. Y'all drop the comb and then step on it, right? It's like a little fairy thing. It's a good luck thing. I do that all day long. And sometimes you drop the comb inside, clear across the room, and you're like this. My girls in the salon are like, what's going on? Okay, so check that. So, you know, by going in and doing that, it's telling you guys lifting and rolling and really cutting that. You know, all I do is take my fingers right to the hairline of where I wanted it to fall. Now, here's the bottom line. If I want the rounds to be up here, then I'm going to take it right up to the part. So I utilize my part as my hairline. So I went further up than what we would normally taught back in the olden days when we used to do beyond the fringe or the lifting and rolling. We used to take it right to the hairline, right? And that was the way we created a graduated web bob. A graduated level bob. A graduated devil bob.
Quite nice.
But by taking it right to the parting, it allows me to go in and create that bevel there because that's what I need. My hair is really, really fine. So I wanted to do that. That was simply just create more of that kind of rounded shape in there. But what I want to do now is remove any excess length that I don't want and weight at the same time. So I'm actually going to kind of go over lightly with a scissor over comb, and I'm going to start from the bottom. So here's the thing. You start at the hairline when you want to remove length. All right, if you want to maintain some of that length, you start to take it a little bit higher up. If you want to leave it off, you take it right up to that parting. And the reason why you do that is because we all know that the furthest distance you travel the hair, the longer you get to leave it. All right? So what I did was in the center, what Jim was talking is I just took it right at the hairline. And I just kind of simply went in there and cleaned that all out so that that would stay shorter. Right? Because I'm more like, I'm the hairline Nazi. Because you know, what is the first thing that you notice when somebody walks away? Hairline. All right? You kind of all do that. You're all sitting in the salon, cutting, you're doing your next client. You look at your client that's walking out, paying at the register, and you're thinking to yourself, there's that one little piece hanging there. Do I say anything? Do I let her go? No. I recognize that. So, if you're like me, just go right up to the cut student. Alright? If you're like Jim Roberts, you'd be like, meet me in the parking lot, I gotta talk to you.
I see them in the grocery store on Sunday, and I would chew it off if I had to. Because it never fails when their hair is looking like it's flashing gang signs somehow. That's when they're going to introduce you as their hairstylist. So chase them all the way to the car if you have to cut that piece off. Don't leave it.
You know, it was kind of funny because just a few minutes ago, somebody was saying to me, and I told them that's not where I wanted them to stand. You took away, she goes, yeah, but it looks good, it's right. I'm like, we don't settle. You go for perfection. If I say 2.5 inches apart, they should be 2.5 inches apart. She looked at me like, are you serious? No, but it sounded good. It made me feel like I was tortured this time. But so what we're going to do is we're going to take that section right in here. And because this is going to be my shorter side, that I'm going to have this connection way at the top, I'm going to really tighten this, but I'm not going to remove that bevel. And I want to scissor over comb this. Now, it's kind of funny because, you know, my friend and I go back and forth and we're like, here, you know, joke around here, here's a clipper, here's a buzzer. And you know what? You can buzz it, you can clipper it, you can scissor over comb it, you can do whatever you want. But what is the difference? All right? The difference is how it's going to lay, or how it's going to grow in.
This is not my phone. I don't know who it belongs to. Whose phone is this?
Let's just answer it and find out. Hello? Let's just call China in a certain purpose.
No, we have no more class than to leave our phone on. I don't know who said it is.
Why do you say that? Didn't make sure mine shut off.
I already turned yours off.
Okay, good. So, look at that. It's so hard. So here's the deal. You know what? For me, you want to clean everything around that ear. So we're going to take it around the ear and just put that comb right against the hairline. And that's where you're going to start to really clean your perimeter, clean your hairline before you move to the interior. I think it's really important when you look at it that way, because then you're not going back in. You don't have to simply go back in there later on and say, oh, you know, here's that little bit of this piece, so we're going to cut the parking lot, or like Jim does, chew it in the supermarket. So once we complete this, we're going to drop that top section, all right? And that's where the entire haircut is going to fall into place. Because we're going to divide this, I'm going to share with you how we're going to divide this into 4 quads. And we're going to work on 4 quads at the top of the head, all right? Now, here's the thing. Those of you guys who know Rusk, you know that we're not into talking about 90 degrees, 50 degrees, 30 degrees, and things like that. And I'm not knocking it. It works for people. That's fine. But for us, for me, our belief is that we follow a head shape, and we work with that head shape. We either transport the hair, which some other people would say over direct, but we never use the word over direct. So we transport the hair. But you're either transporting the hair. But if you think about this for 1 minute, if you're cutting a rounded surface and you put a whole bunch of diamonds and triangles together, what does it create? A rounded surface. It creates a round. All right? If you start to, for us, for the shapes that we are creating in our company, if you start to over-direct that and pull that somewhere where you don't want it to be, what's going to happen? It's going to just shrink or shoot back to the opposite side. So for us, we follow head shape. And I think of it this way too. If you followed head shape on every client that walked through your doors of your salon, then your haircut would be different than every person. You would do the same technique and get a different result. Why? Because it's suited for them. Everybody walks in with a different head shape. You know, some people looks like they got hit in the back of the head with a tennis racket. It's a head shape. You know what I mean? We have to realize that. You know, and I think it's just bottom line. And that goes back to what Jim was talking about earlier, about we need to have a consultation. You know what? Because then when they sit their chin and they start cutting, we don't have those surprises.
All right. So it's so many times when you're working on a client that vision starts to come to you as you're cutting, right? It's nice to have that artistic interpretation, but you have to only have that when the client is willing to really let you do whatever you want to do, right? Because if the vision comes to you, and it's not the vision that they have, there's going to be a vision at the front desk, right? Of a crying customer, and she's going to be mad. She's going to say a lot of swearing words. But it is really nice to be able to work with technique in the sense that I know in this shape I want to keep this panel longer. I want this area shorter than what I have the ability to blend consistently. So of course I have to disconnect this haircut somewhere, right? Disconnection, we say it many times, is the connection to creating a modern hairstyle. There's nothing wrong with a great blended haircut. However, you will see that it doesn't style and give you some of the modern looks that disconnected haircuts do. So the way I'm going to work with doing this is I love to use zigzags. And we use zigzags in coloring, we use zigzags in cutting, we use zigzags in impressing our customers because it's something they're not used to seeing. It makes sense to them. So instead of talking about how she had a great time at the club over the weekend, I'm going to talk about working with some disconnection in her haircut. So by working with zigzags, I'm able to zigzag this out and separate the hair that I want to maintain and stay long, right? Sometimes the hair that's left alone and not even cut is the hair that makes the style, right? We all agree with that? So then I'm going to take just these little sections and I'm going to work with my texturizing blade. Now something that you've noticed probably, you like that? Is that I haven't cut with a straight scissor yet. I've cut with a texturizing blade the whole entire time. Why? I have the ability to control the texture with the blade. I have the ability to create the length and the texture at the same time. So by simply pulling this section up and looking at where I want to go from, I can work and take out this weight and work this to a longer length by simply texturizing and removing weight at the same time. Right? So there's going to be no start and stop. There's going to be a nice soft transition that comes in, but this is going to be completely disconnected from the front that I'm dropping out. But I will bring that together with texture as well. So just working from shorter in the crown to longer, there's no set number of times you have to go in. Allow the tool and the technique to really create the vision that you have. And it's so nice when you're not doing haircut 1, 2, or 3, you're working with something that you know that works. And basically when you're working with integration of length through texture, it's a beautiful thing to really be able to cut and to be more of a free spirit when it comes to cutting hair, because so many times when we first start to cut hair, we don't have that confidence. You're very structured. You're afraid to break the rules, but you know the rules are made to be broken, and sometimes that's what's the most rewarding.